All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name's Elizabeth. I'll be helping coordinate our webinar today. We have two great speakers to help talk about the Professional Certificate in Data Science and Business Analytics program offered at the University of Maryland. So as we just wait a few more minutes just to let some more people trickle in, get yourself settled, and we'll get started.
I guess we can get started. It's already 9:02, and Elizabeth, I'm good to go. I can start.
Yep, we're all good.
Perfect, great. Thanks a lot, Elizabeth. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining in today. And I'd also like to welcome Dr. Kisleya Prasad, who is the program leader from University of Maryland for the Global Certificate Program in Data Science and Business Analytics. Thanks a lot, Professor Kisleya, for joining us today, and thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So welcome everybody. First of all, just introducing myself. My name is Falgun and I'm one of the co-founders of upGrad. Basically, upGrad is one of the largest global online higher education platforms where we work with universities and their faculty to help with design, delivery, and development of online programs. And as you know, we are very proud about our partnership with University of Maryland College Park, especially the Robert H. Smith School of Business, to design this program of the Global Certificate in Business Analytics and Data Science. And we have some amazing faculty, but it's being led by Professor Kisleya, as I said. And just to introduce Professor Kisleya, I think, as I mentioned earlier, he is one of the most senior faculty at the Robert H. Smith School of Business. He's received a PhD in economics and MS in computer science from Syracuse University. And previously, his positions included the professor of economics at Florida State University and a research officer at University of Cambridge. So under his guidance, we are extremely proud and we are very excited about the value proposition that we're able to bring to you. What we'll do is we'd like to keep this session very interactive. So as you see, there is a Q&A section at the bottom right corner. And any questions that you have, I request you to post it there. I'll pick up all the questions and we'll try and address it between me and Professor Kisleya over the course of the next 60 minutes. But what we will potentially start with is I'll hand it over to Professor Kisleya to talk about the program, how we have conceptualized it and how we have designed it from an academic rigor standpoint to make sure that it's extremely relevant for people who want to build exciting careers in the area of data science and business analytics. So we'll start with that, probably spend about 15-20 minutes where Professor Kisleya can walk us through the design and conceptualization of the program and what are the various learning objectives and modules that are involved. And post that, I can talk a little bit about upGrad, but then for the second half of this webinar, would love to discuss with all of you any questions that you have, any thoughts that you have about the program and the admissions process. So once again, Professor Kisleya, thanks a lot for your time and over to you.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. We are also very excited about this partnership to be working with upGrad and with you. So I do have just a short slide deck, and maybe I'll use that to guide us around. So let me share that. So let me start by just giving you a brief introduction to the University of Maryland and then to the program. And as Falgun said, how we've conceptualized it. And I'm very excited about this program. I think it's turned out very well. And so I'll describe the essentials, the key features of the program. I've already had a sort of very kind introduction about my background, so I'll move forward beyond that. But I'll just say one thing, that computer science and economics and business have been part of my interest right from the beginning. And of course, I've done a lot of academic work in that, but also I've had the opportunity a lot to work with businesses and with international development agencies in a consulting role. And so I sort of know what it is like in the trenches and in the field. And we're trying to bring that, the real world aspect to this program in a big way. And I'll describe the faculty to you, but myself included. There are a lot of people with a lot of awards for teaching. And so we've got a really strong faculty as part of the program. So those are the only two things I'll mention here. But let me take you to the University of Maryland. It is the flagship university of the state of Maryland. So our College Park campus is just outside of Washington, D.C. So we're in the National Capital Region. And more than anything else, I think the one word that describes the university is research, or one phrase would be research powerhouse. So it's a powerhouse in research, in academics, in arts and athletics. And just as evidence of that, I'd say that the faculty includes 58 people who are members of the National Academies, 2 Nobel laureates, 4 Pulitzer Prize winners, 1 Emmy winner, and 1 Tony winner. So a very distinguished faculty. And as I said, research is our key thing, and our research budget, I think for a couple of last year was $1.1 billion combined, and that places us as number 14 in the US. We also have a lot of distinguished alumni, and maybe I'll, in the interest of time, mention one. Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google, was an undergraduate here, and there are several other very distinguished alumni in the school. And the University of Maryland's Robert H. Smith School of Business, which is where this program is going to be run out of. Again, I think it's a top business school, a highly ranked undergraduate program. I think number 10 was our online MBA program. EMBA programs also very highly ranked. It is again also very highly ranked in research productivity of the faculty. So again, if you look at research rankings, University of Dallas has one of the important ones. So we rank, several programs rank very highly in that, information systems, analytics being among them. A lot of notable alumni. I won't go through all of them, but maybe I'll mention 2 people who have had the pleasure to meet. Carly Fiorina, who was former CEO of Hewlett-Packard, and Kevin Plank, who's the founder and executive chairman of Under Armour, and a number of other very distinguished alumni. So I think it's a great university, and I'm really proud to belong to the Smith School of Business. And what I love best about the school is all of the smart people around me. So I think people make any organization, and that's the same for the Smith School as well. So let me get to what probably interests you the most, which is the certificate program in data science and business analytics. And I think we take both parts seriously, the data science part and the business analytics part. So it is, of course, all the tools and techniques of data science, but also to aid decision-making in business is a focus, and to extract business value and for success in corporate careers. Those are some of the, the focal points of the program. So what is our vision of for the program? So first of all, it begins with our understanding that we live in the data age, and there are a lot of skills that have become really highly in demand in this data age, and we understand that a lot of people want to upskill and learn new skills, and just basically use them to leverage them to have more successful careers. So we want to be in a position to provide these in-demand skills. And this is something of a moving target, right? I mean, data scientist as a job category barely existed a decade ago. Today, it is very highly sought after, but with artificial intelligence now becoming more and more important, there's also that transition going on. So I think, in a sense, every day you wake up and you think that maybe everything you've been teaching is going out of date. So you're constantly needing to update curriculum from our perspective as teachers, but I realize the same thing is true for people working in industry or who got their degrees a few years back. Is things are changing, they need to upskill, and I think we want to be able to provide all of those skills to people so that they can be successful. And just to quickly run through places where data science and business analytics is done in a big way. These are some of the fields. So in technology, in tech firms, of course, but technology, communications, marketing, financial services, healthcare, and pharma actually has seen some of the biggest growth in the last 1 year or so. Management consulting, automotive, retail, education. These are the places that have seen the biggest transformation, the greatest demand for skills, but we're in the process of every industry being transformed. And so I think data science will be in demand in every industry. So continuing with our vision for the program, we want to make the subject more accessible. So the curriculum is designed for both technical and non-technical professionals. We don't want a very high bar of entry, and of course, we want people to be motivated to work hard to be, to do well in the program and then to go on and be successful. But we don't want the bar of entry to be high, and so designed for both technical and non-technical professionals who are interested in leveraging data to draw insights to drive decision making for their organizations. So the program is. It starts at the beginning, but it is very comprehensive as well. And so we start with foundational knowledge for data science and business analytics and build up. So just to a quick run through of topics, we'll start with Python, a little bit of SQL, and then we'll move on to data visualization, classical statistics, a lot of machine learning, supervised, unsupervised learning topics, and then a fairly advanced segment on both deep learning and text analytics. But we'll start from the beginning and build up. And all through that, we'll infuse a lot of real applied business knowledge, use cases, and so on. I told you we have a star lineup of faculty. So this is all of the people in the program will run across. Anil Gupta is a well-known, world-famous strategy professor, author of many books. Economist magazine called him, one of the stars in the field of business. Thinkers 50 always lists him among the top 50 most important management thinkers. He will actually come in at the end and talk about AI and data analytics and strategy. And so that'll be the closeout portion. PK Kannan is one of the leading marketing professors in the world with an emphasis on digital marketing. So again, great. We have some younger people, Lauren Rue, who's come to us from New York University, and then John Bono, who launched things off teaching Python. Margaret Bjandatir, she's won many awards for her research in analytics, but also last year in Poets and Quants magazine, she was listed among the 2021 MBA professors, as the magazine recognizes. And then Kunpeng Zhang, KZ as we call him, who will come in and teach you machine learning towards the end of the program. So that's the faculty star lineup, I think. And there are some features that make this program unique. And I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about these unique program features. So first, the format combines recorded sessions, but also live sessions. So there are quite a number of live sessions, and they'll be the live sessions. The professors will be there, but there'll also be live sessions with industry experts. And those live sessions will be used to study real-world examples, with emphasis on mastery of the key concepts, or they could difficult things from the videos. You might go over those. So there'll be a mix of things we'll have in the live sessions. Then there'll be coding sessions focused on specific applications. And so that if your programming skills need additional work, there'll be an opportunity for that. Then, as I told you, industry use cases is a big part of the design of this program. So master classes will be delivered not just by professors, but by industry experts as well. And that will include real-world applications and case studies that illustrate the core concepts of the course. Then finally, towards the end of the program, there'll be a challenging capstone project. And if you're, from your company or from your interest otherwise, you want to bring in a problem to solve, then you'll have the opportunity to do that. But you'll also have the opportunity to pick one from some suggestions provided. So it's flexible enough to incorporate both things. If you have something from work, that's great. It always, in a sense, engages you much more sharply to do something that is immediately relevant for you. Then there'll be student support available to review concepts, answer questions. So that's a possibility. You'll have one-on-one calls with mentors who will help you create a plan to advance in your current role within an organization, or to transition to a new role, whatever your goals might be. We'll try and help you accomplish those. So what are the outcomes? What are the things that we hope people would have gained by the end of the program? First of course, to gain data science skills that you'll be able to apply right away. So for instance, things like exploratory data analysis and visualization are early in the program. And those are things that I found executives are able to take to their workplace right away, or to start applying right away. So you'll gain those skills that you can apply right away, but you'll also contribute to your professional development to help you grow in your chosen career. You'll also build needed expertise to launch your journey as data science practitioners in a new role or a new field. And we want to be able to equip you with the foundation needed for advanced topics. I mentioned machine learning, but other AI topics that will be a launching pad for you to go and progress beyond this the program. Okay, so that's roughly what I have in terms of the description of the program. And Falgun, I'll ask you, I have a bunch of slides on what the market for data science looks like. Do you think it'll be useful to go through that? Yeah.
Sure. Just taking a pause here.
Yeah, that's what I
just wanted to. Yeah, anybody who has any questions, feel free to raise your hand or ask them in the Q&A section, and we'll pick them up as we go. But Professor Kisle, I know you have 3-4 more slides on this demand. I think it'll be good to cover that and then move forward with the session.
Okay, so if there are no questions so far, what I'll do is I'll describe that. Yeah. So first, I think demand for talent in the data science and business analytics field is really strong. And I tried to find the most reliable numbers that are out there at a broad scale. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the United States probably has the best numbers. So currently, there's a lot of pent-up demand driven by the pandemic, but also the US economy is currently very strong, and there is a shortage of qualified candidates. So the BLS says that there's strong wage growth going on in this area. And average salaries as of May 2020 were a little over $100,000. That's average overall. I think starting salaries that we've seen at our school that are closer to sort of $80,000 or so. But it's good to remember that there's quite a bit of variation. So this again from BLS, the darker numbers are higher, the lighter numbers are lower. So you'll see that when you look at much of the West Coast and the Northeast, but also North Carolina and Texas. Those are all places where salaries tend to be higher. And then in the heavy agricultural states and some other places you expect, as you would expect, they're lower. But in some ways that just reflects differences in costs of living. But I did want to point out that there's some geographical variation. This is mostly a US audience, so I won't spend too much time other than to say that this is a global phenomenon. It's not just a US phenomenon. So in United Kingdom, basically, similar things are true. And in India, again, the reports I've looked at, it's again, high demand and strong wage growth is true there as well. So so that really is the end of my presentation. I will leave this on for a second. It has a few things that I didn't cover. One is that the program duration is 9 months. I gave you a list of all of the important topics that we'll be covering, but the program duration's 9 months, starts in early January. And anyone without a bachelor's degree, we have a 15-minute assessment of basic questions that allows you to determine if this program is suitable for you. As I mentioned, we start from the beginning. No technical or coding knowledge is required, but willingness to learn them fast is something that will be helpful. And then you see the program fee there and link, phone numbers, etc., which I'll leave on here for now. That's my prepared stuff, but I'm happy to take any questions about something that I rushed through or anything you want me to describe in greater detail.
Great. Thanks a lot, Professor Kisler. That was really helpful. I think we've got a few questions and we can start just addressing them. The first one is that I think in terms of the curriculum, there is a very strong focus, obviously, on the deep technical aspects of machine learning and AI, but there is also very interesting elements around storytelling, data visualization, etc. So what's the balance between these two? What's the importance of these two being in the curriculum for people to become effective data scientists after completion of the program?
That's a very good question. I think so we've tried to balance the two things, right? So one is, we know that what data science is doing is it's transforming the practice of business. So there are lots and lots of use cases, and we want to be able to talk about those. We want to be able to talk about, well, you've got a problem. When does it have a data analytics solutions? But we also want people to have the skills themselves to be able to do it, or at least to conceptualize the problem in a very deep way of what a solution, a data analytics solution would look like. So I think we've tried to balance them sort of equally. And even when we get into the technical stuff, we will always draw data sets that are from business, that are applications to illustrate the use of techniques on business problems and on business data. So I think we try and balance them. I think both of those are equally important, and I think we try and balance them equally.
Great. The next question was, and I can also answer it, but maybe Professor Kisler would like to start, is post-completion of this program, this is from Anthony, can I start off as a data scientist right away? Or do you think I need to start off as a data analyst first? What would be your recommendation?
Maybe I'll let you take it first, and then I can come in with my thoughts as well, and I'll catch a breath in the meanwhile.
Sure. So, Anthony, I think some of these questions are very difficult for us to answer without knowing the background that you have or the kind of work that you have already done in the past. So people ask me questions like, oh, I have 20 years of experience in telecom. Is this program relevant for me? And what should I expect? Or I have 2 years of experience in banking, and what should I expect? All I can tell you is that we'll be happy, and one of our counselors can talk to you to understand your specific background and give you examples of how people with that background have succeeded in the area of data science doing one of our programs, right? And in that context, I think we have seen people start off as data analysts post some of these programs. We've seen people start off as data scientists. We've also seen people start off as machine learning engineers post some of these programs. So, and there are almost 20% of our learners who don't enter any of these roles. They're just in managerial roles, and they just use this program to become better managers in terms of using the opportunities better, guiding their team better, etc. So it is totally dependent on what your background is and how you construct the next 9 months in terms of the kind of not just the program content and curriculum, but also the kind of coaching you get, the kind of jobs you apply for. So it's a very subjective question for me to give you a pinpoint answer without having too much background information.
I have little to add to that. It is a more detailed answer than I'd have been able to give, but that was my first thought, that much of it will depend on your journey to this point, and that's pretty important as well. And I think this is there's a lot of important skills you might learn, and which will be very hands-on and which will take you to the point of being able to complete fairly complex projects or lead fairly complex projects. So you'll gain a very high set of skills, but it will combine with your full background, and there will be people to sort of mentor you and guide you along the way on what your precise journey would end up being. So I would concur with that.
Great. The next question I'll pick up is from Stephanie. I think this, again, I can answer this, so Dr. Kistler can take a break. I know this is a collaboration between University of Maryland and upGrad. Could you describe the roles and responsibilities of each party? So that's a great question. And I think this is also a good way for me to give you an introduction of what you can expect from upGrad over and beyond what Professor Kistler already spoke about. And as I said, upGrad is one of the leading platforms globally in online education. And what we do is, obviously, Professor Kistler and the rest of the faculty that you saw are experts in the subject matter that we're talking about. Right? We as upGrad, while we understand a little bit of data science and business analytics, we're working with the best in the industry to actually teach that. Now, our core competence is in making sure that something that Professor Kistler is unbelievably good at doing in the classroom, we're able to translate that experience and provide it online to not 100 or 150 people, but to 1,000 people. And the way we do that is that we leverage our expertise in online instructional design and content development. We leverage our expertise in terms of the learning management system that we've created, a proprietary one from scratch, and the kind of support services that we're able to provide. As I said, we have a internal joke where we say that, look, amazing faculty are like theater artists, right? They do an amazing job on stage. Our job is to make them amazing movie artists, where it's not just 30 people sitting in an auditorium, but people globally sitting in a movie hall and seeing it. And that's the kind of expertise that we bring to the table. So 3 things that I spoke about. The first is content development, where we have created 10,000 plus hours of very engaging online content, including bringing in industry experts, animations, graphics, and simulations to make the whole process very engaging. So that's the first bit where we work with the faculty very closely. While they drive the subject matter expertise, we bring the experience of the online instructional design. The second part of this is the technology platform. When we started upGrad, one of our insights was that online education is very anonymous. It's just the learner and the computer, and at some point it gets very lonely. There's no motivation and students drop off. So how do you make this a very interactive experience online? And that's where we have not built it on an external LMS like Blackboard or Canvas, etc. We have built a proprietary LMS to make sure that we have the flexibility to build in all those pedagogical elements to drive very strong peer-to-peer interaction, faculty to student interaction, teaching assistant to student interaction. Professor Kistler spoke about live lectures on the platform, case studies and capstone projects on the platform. So building in all of these various pedagogical elements to make the experience very engaging. The last part, which is the most important part, according to me, is the support services that we're able to overlay on top of that, which include academic support, non-academic support, and career support services. While Professor Kistler can teach an amazing module on, let's say, data visualization and Tableau and storytelling, if some of you are struggling with actually how to do this on Tableau, we will provide the academic support with teaching assistants who will be available on a daily basis to guide you with some of those more minute details of how to learn these things in detail. So there's a very strong layer of academic support in terms of helping you with the course content, helping you with some of these assignments, but also then grading your assignments and giving you detailed feedback on what you could have done better. So building in that whole layer of assessment, again, to make sure that you feel like it's a university experience where we are hand-holding you and guiding you and giving you a path to successfully complete, and not just throwing content at you for you to go through and then figure it out on your own. So I think that's the big difference in terms of the program pedagogy. The second is non-academic support, where for somebody who does a 9-month program, we potentially collect about 50,000-60,000 data points on the learner. Simple stuff like when you like to log in, when do you like to study? Are you falling behind? And if you're falling behind, what can we do to push you to successfully complete? How can we involve triggers and engagement points to make sure that we do not let you fall behind beyond a certain point? So there's a lot of back-end work that we do to define interventions to make sure that we get involved with learners when they're falling behind and push them to successfully complete the program. And the last part, obviously, is the career support services part, where as Professor Kisler talked about earlier, we work with the industry very closely, and we have on the platform itself all the jobs that we source from our industry partners that students can apply for. But beyond that, even when students are applying on their own, we want to make sure that outside the academic rigor, they're also rounded off from an interview standpoint to succeed. In the past, we've seen that students who have scored 4-on-4 GPA end up and not doing very well on the interview because they're just not prepared from a holistic standpoint, right? So how do you prepare for an interview? How do you create a very sharp CV? How do you get the right kind of coaching and mentoring from industry experts to prepare for that? And obviously, at the end of the day, giving you enough opportunities to apply for on your own and whatever we have on the platform, I think is an important part to drive that outcome. So all these three combined is what leads to what we call the upGrad learning experience in collaboration with the university and faculty. And all the while, obviously, the faculty are involved in bringing the same kind of academic excellence and academic rigor to the program to make sure that students achieve very strong learning and career outcomes from a content, curriculum, and assessment standpoint. I hope that answers the question. And I think the way it eventually translates this collaboration is that, just to give you a few numbers, even for a 2-year master's program that we do, the completion rates are about 85-90%. So if 100 people start, about 85 to 90% people complete the program, and the other 10 also sometimes we fail students for plagiarism and all of that. So literally people who are just missing in action post starting the program are about 5%. Deloitte has recently conducted a survey where it's an independent audit that they have done and published a report which says that 5 out of 6 alumni have seen successful career enhancement post completion of these programs. So I think there are a lot of elements that are built in eventually does lead to those kind of outcomes. The next question is from Jessica, and Professor Kisler, I don't know if you want to take a shot at it.
Yeah.
Which is,
no, I thought I'll just stop the sharing of the screen. Yes, please go ahead with the question.
Sure. And the question is, can you talk a little bit more about the capstone project and the context of that and how it plays out in the program?
Yeah, so the capstone project, so think about the program up until that point. So you'll have started with the programming skills, so the basic toolkit that you need for data science, and then you'd have gone through the exploratory methods and then more advanced methods and a whole set of techniques. What we hope for a capstone project is to take a non-trivial project which takes you through the whole sequence of steps from the beginning to the end to a product that you communicate to others. So it goes through every step in the whole process. So just to quickly recapitulate the kinds of steps that there might be, say it's a data-focused project. So first, a clear articulation of a business problem. Then going from that, trying to understand, what might be a data analytics solution to that problem? What kind of data does that require? Collection of that data, or you might maybe get the data off the shelf, but taking the data and then pre-processing it and getting it ready for analysis, then exploring the data with visualizations, with summaries and others to get an understanding for the data so that you become intimately familiar with it. Then articulating precise scientific questions regarding the data, might be about relationships between things or trying to build a predictive model of something, setting that up, deciding among the vast range of methods you'll learn which ones are appropriate for that data, which ones give you the best result for prediction, and then summarizing what are the conclusions for the business problem that I originally started with, and if I were to, how might I, for instance, deploy this and automate it and run it. And then finally, I think a really important part of the whole process is communication, to stand up, to have an effective presentation and to tell people of what you started trying to do, how you did it, and what the conclusions are, what the key business takeaway is. So as part of the program, you'll go through every one of this whole sequence of processes. In the capstone, we want you to be able to put it all together, right? So often when you're learning things apart, there's this great aha moment that happens when you say, okay, so let me put it all together. And the capstone is the opportunity to let you do that, to put it all together and have a really good thing that you can maybe even put on your resume and point to something that challenging in a business context that you did. And that you might be able to leverage that. So to give an example of in a classroom, for instance, I've had a student who was, say, interested in healthcare. So pick up health data from the health sector. So this was someone who wasn't already working, just full-time student. Pick up data from the healthcare sector, formulate a non-trivial question, go through the steps, create a nice project out of it. And she was later able to leverage that and get a job at the health insurance company. So that's broadly the kind of thing that we have in mind with what you might do with a capstone.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Kislan. Just to add to what Professor Kislan mentioned, I think while these are not the specific projects that might be in this particular program, but what we have done in the past, just so that you get a sense of how this is going to work, is we have we divide these into like some industry specific capstone projects that you can get to choose from. Like Professor Kisla gave you an example of healthcare. Let's take the example of banking, where we say that, look, you have now done statistics and exploratory data analytics, machine learning, and advanced machine learning. Now, why don't you solve a real industry problem that we've built with either a partner that professor knows or we know, where we say that, look, this is the problem of credit fraud that the bank is struggling with, and you can try and solve this problem using everything that you have learned. And at the end of it, you have to present it to the board of the company to get your solution executed, right? Similarly, in the case of auto manufacturing, the biggest problem is always predicting how many cars to manufacture of which type in which plant, because if you over manufacture, you have losses because of inventory costs. If you under manufacture, you lose market share. So this is the previous data that you have. So why don't you apply everything that you have and again present like in a real life situation. Similarly, I can give examples across multiple sectors. So we will have some of these key sectors, and based on your interest, you can pick from that and try and apply everything you have learned in the program to solve that real life problem. And as Professor Kisler rightly mentioned, a lot of the times we see that students use this to embellish one on their CV, but also it is a very interesting conversation point when they apply for roles, because it's actually a real life experience of solving a business problem. The next question, Professor, is from Jessica. Will we get access to tools like Python and actually get to work on these tools, or do we just learn about them in theory?
You will very much be doing hands-on programming. That's so I can guarantee that. So yes, the whole program is very hands-on. And there'll be, not only will you be working hands-on, but after that, there'll be assignments that you will submit of Python programs and SQL, and then, Tableau as well. And then after that, you will continue to use Python and related libraries throughout to, hands-on, do machine learning, do classification, do clustering, do deep learning, all of it. So hands-on program, you will be learning to do everything, and you'll be learning to apply it to business data sets in particular.
And that's, I think, again, similar question. So let's try and address that as well in the same breath. Is how deep is the programming aspect in this particular course? And do we need any prerequisites for it? I'm just extending the question in terms of, do we need any prerequisites? And yeah, what's the depth of the general programming that's expected?
Yeah. So first, we don't need prerequisites. So prerequisites, experience programming will help, but it's designed that we don't require it. It's not a barrier. So we'll try and balance the needs of both groups. So somebody who has come with some programming experience, we might have extra optional things that they can do, but then somebody who doesn't have the same kind of background, we'll try and engage them with things where they can pick up the skills, but also, know enough to do all of the things that we want to do till the end. So we build in some flexibility for the diversity of learners, but you will be able to pick it up from the beginning. I'm not saying it'll be easy. If you don't have a programming background, you have to be committed to learning it. Programming takes time, and sometimes one of the things I found challenging with programming is that you sometimes have to keep at it until you get that aha moment again, and things fall into place. But so you have to persevere, but it's starts from the beginning.
Great. The next question is from Jessica, and maybe Professor, I can take this. Is what role do industry experts play in the program, and will we get to ask them questions, right? So Jessica, as we just mentioned, I think there are various points where we bring in industry experts. So when we design the curriculum, that's the first point where obviously the faculty are leading the exercise, but we get industry input saying, okay, these are the key skills that we require in an area like data science and business analytics, which we're hiring for. And these are the key modules that need to be covered. So obviously that's the first input. And as we then think of the content development, there are a lot of modules which Professor Kislaya or Professor Anil or Professor Kanan are going to deliver. But there are certain modules which we agreed that, look, it's much better delivered by a great industry expert. So somebody coming in from, let's say, Citibank or Coca-Cola or somebody else we know from our network, we say that, look, this person come and delivering storytelling using data is going to be amazing because we know they've done an amazing job in real life. So we bring in those industry experts to supplement the program in terms of helping you learn from their experience of doing this hands-on. The last part is obviously the case studies, the assignments, and the capstones that we spoke about, where some of these are designed in collaboration with them using, again, their experience and their data so that we give you a real life experience. Beyond all of this, which is the asynchronous part of the program, where you get this information and this knowledge from senior industry experts. As Professor Kislaya mentioned, the program also has a strong component of live lectures, which will again be a combination of faculty doing it and a combination of industry experts, where these industry experts will come and talk about, let's say you did this assignment on Citibank. The Citibank expert will come and say that, look, this is how we try to solve about it. So in those live lectures that the industry experts do, obviously, given the nature of the live lecture, it will be interactive and you can ask them questions and engage with them actively. The next question is from, Banjoko. How helpful is this program in my quest for a doctorate in machine learning and AI? So maybe I'll take this, and obviously Dr. Kislaya is the expert because he's recruiting PhDs every day. But in my experience, I think in this program, when you look at the curriculum, there's a very strong component of machine learning. Obviously, there is statistical analysis and visualization. Then there are all the introductory machine learning concepts like linear regression and logistical regression and classification models, decision trees, and KNN. But there is also, if you've seen the curriculum, almost 10 weeks of detailed advanced machine learning concepts, including stuff like random forest and boosting. There is neural networks that we're covering, convolution neural networks, NLP, etc. So there is a lot of depth that we go into to introduce these concepts. Now, obviously, nothing in the world is the end of the learning experience, right? Obviously, you will have to build on this, and the more you build, the better opportunities you will get. But what I can tell you from my experience is that people who have done and have gotten strong learning outcomes from this in the past have been able to apply to strong universities, to convert to masters, and even to PhDs, because at the end of the day, they have something more meaty to show, a much more interesting conversation to have, much more interesting ideas in terms of what they can work on.
Yeah, so I think the only thing I'll add to that is that yes, it can be an important bridge between whatever you did before and the PhD program, because it introduces you to a lot of these concepts, but in an applied sense. And now, depending on which PhD program you go to, it could be a more theoretical or a more applied program. And there, you might run into the same topics again, but you would be approaching them in a different way, a more theoretical way of how the algorithms work, what are the properties you can prove about the algorithm, the rate at which they produce solutions. So lots more. So it'll build up. But it'll build up also probably in a more theoretical direction, and it'll try and meld both of those. But it can be an important bridge to such a program, depending on what your previous background was.
Great. So I think we've addressed most of the questions. So in summary, I think again, sharing some anecdotal information that I've collected over the last 7 years. Our first program that we launched back in 2015 was a program in data science with a leading Indian university like UMD is in the US. And people asked me then that, look, how long is this data science hype going to last? And I always used to keep saying that when you look at the basics, I don't think it is hype. I think it's only something that is going to continue to grow, given the acceleration in the amount of data that we have today. Everywhere, right? So I think that's something that we've seen for 7 years. The demand for this has only grown, and we think that the demand for this is only going to continue to grow across industries and functions. As I said, auto, banking, finance, and not just that, even things like when you think of functions like marketing and sales and even HR and finance, almost all of them today are using analytics to help them do their work better. So I think it's a very exciting opportunity for people who want to build a fast-moving career in the area of data science and business analytics. It's a very strong program that can help build the foundation for you. And Professor Kistler shared some of the information earlier about the program. If you're interested, Christine has shared on the chat some details about the program, and you can fill in your information, and one of our admissions counselors will reach out to you to understand your background, to give you more details about the program and how it could potentially help you achieve your aspirations. And again, we'll be more than happy to share any other information that you need. This is just one other question that has come up that I'll try and take, which is from Jessica, which is what types of career support will be available after completing the program? So first thing, at least I want to make clear, is that we are not assuring a job after the program, right? Nobody can, and if anybody does, please run away from them. What we are trying to do is we're trying to give you the right skills, and we're trying to give you the right exposure to the industry with the required training to optimize your success when you apply for jobs in the area of data science and business analytics. And obviously, Professor Kistia talked about the academic part of the program, where we make sure that you have a very solid learning outcome on each of those key skill sets. But beyond that, as I said, what we will do is we will make sure that we will help you with building a great CV. We will help you with preparing for interviews in terms of what are the top 50 asked questions in data science? What are the top 50 asked data science questions when it comes to healthcare or finance, etc. So we've worked with industry experts to build these content repositories, which will be available to our learners so that they can go through and prepare for these interviews. Beyond this, we will have coaching and mentoring, where you will have one-on-one sessions with industry experts and mentors and coaches who you can talk to and say, okay, right now I am a software developer in Amazon, but I want to become a data scientist in Google, theoretically, right? So is this even a realistic aspiration? If it is realistic, how long should I think of doing it in 2 years or 3 years or 6 months? And how do I get there? right? And because these people are seniors in the industry, they can help you chalk out a path and sometimes even say that, look, this is not a realistic aspiration for at least 5 years. So maybe you will need to think of something else in terms of what you want to achieve. So that coaching and mentoring will be provided so that you're much more clear in terms of your approach to your career progression. And then finally, as I said, we have a job portal on the upGrad learning platform, where we source jobs from all of our industry partners in the relevant areas. And also we get information from other job portals like Indeed and LinkedIn, etc. And we list it on the platform. And given we understand the learners so well, by the end of the program, we are able to tell them that, look, while there are these 20,000 jobs listed, these are the 200 that are most suited for you. Because we know you live in New York, we know your existing salary is this and you would want something higher, and anything less than that we don't even recommend to you. So based on all of these inputs and your strengths, we say that, look, these are the 200 jobs that are most suited for you. Hopefully you have done the program in a committed manner, so you have very strong learning outcomes, and we've provided all of these other career support services to smoothen all the edges, to make sure that when you get that opportunity to sit in front of the employer, you have the maximum chance of converting and making something of that opportunity. Great. So once again, thanks a lot, everybody, for joining in. Hope this session was helpful. As I said, Christine has posted the link for the website where you can get more information. There's a program video that you can see. And if you're interested to explore more, just drop in your information. One of our counselors will reach out to you to understand the specific context and give you more details about how this program can help you. But with that, thanks a lot once again for joining in today. And finally, thanks once again, Dr. Kislia, for your time. Really appreciate you coming on the webinar today. This was really helpful, and thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.